That brings us to our county administrator's report. Mr. Lanford.
I'm sure you saw in the paper a week or so ago, the second round of CARES Act funding is being distributed by the state. So in addition to the $1.296 million that we received earlier in the year, the second round of funding is coming. We've submitted the paperwork to receive those dollars from the state. It carries the same requirements to be expended by December 30th, 2020. And so we're pushing that information out, and we're required to provide, based on population, a certain percentage of those dollars for the town of Clifton Forge and the town of Iron Gate to utilize as well. We're using it for things such as the equipment that was put in the room here to allow you to have your electronic meetings. We're using it to do the architectural and engineering work to make some modifications to the courthouse to address some of the COVID-related issues that staff face in that building. And we'll bring back some more detailed information as they come in, especially related to that project. Receiving requests to make upgrades for things in this building to change light fixtures from touch points to motion detected type of infrastructure, changing out all of our water fountains and those types of things for compliant issues with that, and other facilities are eligible for those dollars as well. So we've pushed that out. We're working with Suzanne's been working diligently on that, working with the community college to put some programs in place to help people that want to get credentialed that may have been furloughed, laid off, or lost employment otherwise as a result of COVID, so that they can become reemployed. So we're putting some money from our funds to offset some of the costs associated with that at the community college. The real challenge will be, we'll be spending all of those dollars by December 30, especially on construction type projects. And so, we want to make sure that we move those dollars out as efficiently as we can.
That's what I was going to ask, because everybody's doing this back order, like the water fountains or the touch or the motion sensor lighting or anything. Can you get credit for a pre-order without using the funds? That worried me. For
those types of pieces of equipment, yes.
Okay.
If it's if you have your order placed and the dollars are encumbered, if delivery hasn't been made because of a problem with supply chain, then you're not held harmless for that. We're looking for clarification on the construction side, and so we've reached out to Delegate Austin to get some assistance there if we can't expend all of those dollars for construction-related activity, especially at the courthouse. We're asking for some forgiveness if we at least have them encumbered and a contractor on board. Three good pieces of information I'll share with you this evening. We had a meeting in this room yesterday afternoon with local law enforcement, Commonwealth's Attorney, Community Services Board, Department of Social Services, parole staff, and Judge Stein. Tentative kickoff date for drug court in Alleghany Highlands is September 1. That program has been funded through quite a bit of work from Ingrid Barber and Ann Gardner. Sheriff Hall was instrumental in getting the program kicked off, and Judge Stein obviously instrumental as well. So right now we plan on holding our first drug court in the Highlands on September 1. Huge benefit not only to the participants in that program, but then also hopefully for us as we look at jail capacity and relieving some of the stress that we have there through this program. A few months ago, we talked in this room pre-pandemic about the FOCUS program that Giles County utilizes over there, where the data-driven focus on helping specific communities that consume quite a bit of the reactive services in the community, so law enforcement, EMS, social services, community services board. Chris McClarney, who's the county administrator in Giles, was gracious enough to come over and visit with us today here with the group Bridging the Gap, which was the former Bridges Out of Poverty group. So we're bringing the focus model from Giles to the Bridging the Gap program here, and they're gonna implement that. We were able to get the regional commission out of Roanoke to help us with some technical assistance to do the GIS data mapping. So we provide all the data that's available from the different agencies in the Highlands. The regional commission will take that data, plug it into our GIS system, and then we'll be able to see those communities that we need to really focus on, go in and try to help. Again, you're trying to help the families and the children in those communities, and also, again, hopefully you're doing good things for the community, but hopefully it'll also help us as we're looking at costs that continue to grow in certain areas of our budget, and we can help reduce some of those as well. And that's the program. Great. My favorite story out of the whole program, they've done a lot of good things over there, but the young lady whose father was incarcerated, mother hadn't graduated high school, and this group went into her family, and when she was in middle school, and they asked her what she wanted to do when she grew up, and she said, "No, I don't know, I'm kind of interested in microbiology." And everybody in the room kind of turned around and how in the heck does this girl know what microbiology is? So this program got her to Virginia Tech, got her as a high school student over there in the summer program. She met a professor through that program, and the professor ended up, and we don't know exactly how this portion happened, but ended up getting her a full ride to Virginia Tech, and now she's in their master's program studying microbiology over there. So those are some of the outcomes. Not only does it have some budget help for you, but it gives some people that may not have hope. And so we're going to roll that off. We're going next Thursday, a group of us, to visit Giles, and so hopefully we'll come back and start a very similar program. Here's a lot of upstream work to do that. It's a lot of data collection initially, and a lot of sharing of data from a number of different agencies to be able to plug that information into some mapping, and then really go into those communities and focus. They've worked in 3 communities so far, and they're getting ready to embark on the Stony Creek area of Giles, and that's the 4th community. They started about 5 years ago. Suzanne, or Ms. Adcock, and I were talking earlier. She ran numbers now that we've closed out our last budget year. We had quite a bit of concern over revenue impacts associated with the shutdown statewide. Looks like our numbers came in out of 4 B-poll, meals, lodging, sales. Those revenue numbers that could be impacted. We came in at $5,000 under what was projected for revenue in the fiscal year. So that's good news, certainly for our community. We're not heavily reliant on those. It's not a huge portion of our budget. The majority of our revenue is associated in other areas, but that's certainly even from our perspective, a $5,000 loss or under projected revenues is good news based on those 3 or 4 months that we spent earlier this year. Anybody have any questions on those? Then there's one more that I'll mention. All right. So August of last year, a group of us met with some folks from the Alleghany Foundation, and we presented a scenario to them that we thought was very reasonable for moving economic development forward in the community. And it was a partnership similar to what they had done in Botetourt County, and it was utilizing the joint revenue sharing agreement that we had put in place with the city of Covington, and we were interested in seeing if the foundation would be a partner with us. So I stand in front of you tonight 12 months later still with no answer. So I think that answers the question, and just so you know, we'll continue to work on other avenues to move that project forward and develop a site in the Highlands. But it is somewhat disappointing given the fact that we started the process in 2012 through the Vision 2025 effort that they shepherd. The joint revenue sharing agreement's a direct result of that. It was a huge eye-opener for a lot of folks in the community that didn't realize just the lack of product that we have available for economic development. We don't have a site ready. We don't have a building ready. There's been a lot of work since 2012 to position us to be able to develop a site, to be competitive in economic development. The reality is Alleghany County and the city of Covington don't have the financial horsepower to do it independently, and that's why we put the joint revenue sharing agreement into place. But it had always been our hope that by showing the fact that we were willing to work cooperatively between the two local governments to move economic development forward in the Highlands, that the foundation would come along and be a partner with us. But I think the answer that we've received, which is essentially crickets, has told us that that's not going to be reality, and we need to look to move forward in some other form or fashion. So your staff will continue to work on that effort, and we haven't given up on the fact that we will develop some type of product here, but we're going to have to be extremely creative because of the financial position that both local governments find themselves in. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have about that as well.
Jon, when you say develop a product, are you talking about industrial pad sites and?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so it could be a graded pad site. It could be a shell building. It doesn't have to be either one of those. It can be whatever we want it to be. But the reality is, when we receive the same prospects that come through the Virginia Economic Development Partnership that go to they go all over the state, we receive those, and we'll stay in a list for a short period of time. But when they really get serious about looking towards a region, we'll stay in the list until we get to a region. But when they start to look for a site, if you don't have a high-quality site that's readily available for them to either come in and have all of the environmental permitting complete, the site ready where they can begin their vertical construction almost immediately, or if you have some type of shell available for them to then modify, you're out of the game. And so we stay in the game through the first, we might make it till halftime, but the second half we're not competitive. And the example that we use is the Botetourt example, and it's the Pratt building now in Botetourt. They announced it a little over 18 months ago there, and that was a partnership between some foundations in Roanoke, different foundations, not structured the same as ours. They're different foundations, different structure, but some foundations in the Roanoke Valley and Botetourt County. And so Botetourt put some land on the table. Botetourt put a small amount of capital investment into a little bit of the site work there, and those foundations provided capital to stand the building up, and they marketed it, and they were successful. And they had a 100,000 square foot shell building that was expandable to 200,000 square foot with very little capital, but very little capital from Botetourt County to make that happen. We primarily bought the acreage in Greenfield and a couple $100,000 in capital out of a several $1 million project. And so, we already are at a competitive disadvantage, just based on our location here to somebody like that because of their proximity to 81. That doesn't eliminate us, though, but the fact that they're able to stand those facilities up and have that product ready with little taxpayer expense makes it even that more difficult for us to compete because of the revenue challenges we have here.